I met Sarah at a community art fair 8 years ago. She was volunteering at a booth, her smile as bright as the sun on that summer day. We bonded over our love for art and nature, and within a year we were married. Our daughter Lily came into our lives soon after, filling our small house with joy and laughter. She's 7 now, a bundle of energy, with a passion for adventure, much like her mother. Our life was simple but happy. I worked as a graphic designer, freelancing from home, while Sarah was a nurse at the local hospital. We had a modest home not far from where we met, with a garden where Lily loved to chase butterflies. We weren't rich, but we were content, or so I thought. One evening, Lily came home from school with a sparkle in her eyes that I hadn't seen before. She'd watched her friend perform at a gymnastics class and was buzzing with excitement. "Daddy, can I do gymnastics too?" she asked, her voice full of hope. I thought it was a wonderful idea. Lily had always been active, and gymnastics seemed like the perfect outlet for her boundless energy. That night, or some night, when I brought it up with Sarah, her reaction was not what I expected. She looked up from her phone, a dismissive smirk on her face. "We can't afford luxuries like gymnastics on your salary alone," she said, her tone cold. "If you want Lily to do these expensive activities, maybe you should contribute more financially." I was taken aback. We had agreed years ago that I would scale back my work to be more available for Lily, especially after Sarah's hours at the hospital became unpredictable. We weren't struggling. We had a paid-off car, a house that was cozy, if not luxurious, and while we didn't splurge, we managed just fine. The idea of $60 a month for gymnastics being out of reach seemed absurd. When I mentioned this, Sarah pulled up our bank account on her phone, showing me the numbers. "Look, Jake, after bills, there's not much left. We need to be realistic." The figures did look tight, but something felt off. Sarah had always handled the finances, claiming I was too scatterbrained for numbers. I couldn't argue, not with the evidence right there on the screen. So I agreed. I found a part-time job at the local hardware store, working evenings. The schedule was brutal. I'd spend my days designing, then rush to the store only to come home late, tired and smelling of paint and wood. Sarah said I was being dramatic when I mentioned how exhausted I felt. "You don't deserve to be tired if you're not contributing enough," she'd say, words that stung more than I let on. But I swallowed my pride, thinking it was all for Lily's gymnastics, for her future. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a dance of deceit, where every step I took was choreographed by someone else's hand. The days blended into weeks, and my life became a cycle of work, sleep, and repeat. I'd leave the house before Lily woke up, return after she was in bed, and the only time I saw her was on weekends or when our schedules miraculously aligned. Sarah seemed to be working more too, or so she said. Her excuses for being out late or missing family dinners became more frequent, but I was too tired to question much. One evening, after a particularly long day, I came home to find Sarah waiting for me in the kitchen, her arms crossed, her expression stern. "Jake, we need to talk," she said, her voice firm. I braced myself, expecting another lecture about my lack of contribution. "We've been over this, Sarah. I'm doing my best," I started, but she cut me off. "It's not enough, Jake," she said, her eyes not meeting mine. "If we're going to give Lily the opportunities she deserves, you need to step up. You need to find a second job." I felt a knot form in my stomach. A second job? My mind raced with the implications. "Sarah, I'm already working all the time. When would I even sleep? And what about Lily? I barely see her as it is." Sarah's response was cold, calculated. "You'll make it work. Lily's future is more important than your rest. If you want her to have these experiences, you need to earn more. It's simple." I wanted to argue, to tell her that this wasn't just about money, that our family needed more than financial support. But the exhaustion, the guilt of not doing enough, it all weighed on me. I nodded, feeling defeated. "Okay, I'll find something." The next day, I scoured job listings, my heart not in it. I found a position at a local hardware store, working evenings. The pay wasn't great, but it was something. Sarah seemed pleased when I told her smile not reaching her eyes. "Good. Lily will appreciate this," she said, as if it was all for Lily. But as I started this new job, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Sarah's demands, her cold demeanor, it wasn't just about gymnastics classes. There was a distance growing between us, a divide I couldn't bridge no matter how hard I worked. Every night as I dragged myself home, I wondered if this was really about Lily or if there was something else at play, something Sarah wasn't telling me. The thought gnawed at me, but for now I had to focus on keeping my head above water, on proving to Sarah that I was doing my part. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a dance of deceit, where every step I took was choreographed by someone else's hand. My new routine was grueling. I'd wake up early to get some design work done, head to the hardware store for my evening shift, and come home late, often to an empty house. The days blurred together, my life reduced to a series of tasks. Work, sleep, repeat. My relationship with Lily suffered the most. I missed her school events, her bedtime stories, the moments that made fatherhood so special. Sarah seemed to be around less too. When I did see her, she was distant, her mind elsewhere. "You're never home," she'd say, her tone accusatory, as if my absence was by choice. I tried to explain how hard I was working, how I was doing this for Lily, but Sarah would just nod, her attention already drifting away. I noticed changes in Lily too. She was quieter, less enthusiastic about gymnastics, which confused me. I thought it was what she wanted, what we were all sacrificing for. One evening, as I was coming home from the store, I saw Lily with a woman I didn't recognize, walking hand in hand down our street. I called out to her, but she didn't hear me over the noise of the passing cars. The woman looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. When I asked Sarah about it later, she dismissed it. "That was Emma, a friend from work. She's been helping with Lily while I'm at the hospital." Her explanation was too quick, too rehearsed, and it left me with more questions than answers. The financial strain was palpable. Despite my second job, our savings didn't seem to grow. Sarah managed the money, and when I asked about our finances, she'd show me the numbers, telling me we were just breaking even. "We need to cut back on expenses," she'd say. But the gymnastics classes continued, and Lily's wardrobe seemed to expand with clothes I didn't recognize. My exhaustion led to mistakes at work, both at the hardware store and in my design projects. Clients were getting impatient, and my manager at the store pulled me aside one evening. "Jake, you look like you're about to collapse. Are you sure you can handle this?" His concern was genuine, but I couldn't afford to lose this job. I tried to talk to Sarah about slowing down, about finding a balance, but she was adamant. "Lily needs these opportunities, Jake. We can't afford to let her down now." Her words were like a mantra, a justification for the life we were living, but they felt hollow, like a script she was reading from. As weeks turned into months, the strain on our relationship grew. We were like ships passing in the night, our conversations reduced to logistics and complaints. I started to feel like a stranger in my own home, an outsider in my own family. The love we once shared seemed buried under layers of resentment and unspoken truths. The facade was cracking, and beneath it I could sense a web of deceit, a dance I was unwittingly part of, where every step I took was choreographed by someone else's hand. It was a Thursday evening, and I was working late at the hardware store when my phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. "Don't come home tonight. I need some space." The message was curt, devoid of any warmth or explanation. I felt a cold dread spread through me, a sense of impending doom. I drove around aimlessly, my mind racing with possibilities. Was this it? Was our marriage over? I couldn't bear the thought of losing Sarah, of losing Lily. I parked outside our house, watching from a distance. The lights were on, malls they time were on, but the warmth they once symbolized was gone. After hours of sitting in my car, I decided to go inside. The house was eerily quiet. I found a note on the kitchen table, written in Sarah's neat handwriting. "Jake, I've been seeing someone else. I need time to figure things out." The words hit me like a physical blow. Betrayal, confusion, and anger swirled within me. I searched for signs I'd missed, for clues that I was blind to. My eyes fell on our shared laptop left open on the dining table. A part of me didn't want to look, but another part needed to know. I opened it, and there they were, financial statements, emails, and text messages. Sarah had been siphoning money from our account into another, one I didn't know existed. The gymnastics classes, the new clothes, the excuses for her absence. It was all a facade. She had been using my hard work, my sacrifices, to fund a life I wasn't part of. The emails were the worst. Conversations with a man named Mark filled with plans for their future, for Lily's future, without me. They talked about how I was too involved, how I needed to be distracted with work. I realized the gymnastics classes were just a ploy, a way to keep me busy while they planned their lives together. I sat there, the weight of the betrayal crushing me. My hands shook as I scrolled through the evidence of Sarah's deceit. The gymnastics classes, the woman I saw with Lily, it all made sense now. Sarah had orchestrated this, using Lily's dreams as a weapon against me. I couldn't stay in the house. I grabbed my essentials and left, driving to a local motel. The room was small, impersonal, but it was a sanctuary from the lies that had engulfed my life. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall, trying to piece together the fragments of my shattered reality. The next morning, I called a lawyer. I needed to understand my rights, my options. As I explained my situation, the lawyer's words were like a lifeline. "You've been deceived, Jake, but you have rights. We'll sort this out." I knew I had to confront Sarah, but not with anger. I needed to be calm, to understand how we got here. I returned home that evening, the house still empty. I waited, and when Sarah finally came home, I was ready. "Sarah, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady but firm. She looked at me, her eyes widening with surprise, then guilt. "I know about everything," I continued, holding up the laptop. "The money, Mark. Your plans. How could you do this to us?" She sat down, her face crumpling. "Jake, I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was unhappy, and I made a mistake." "A mistake?" I echoed, the word tasting bitter. "You've been lying, manipulating me, using our daughter to cover your tracks." "This isn't a mistake, Sarah. This is a betrayal." The conversation that followed was painful, a dissection of our marriage's demise. Sarah admitted to falling out of love, to seeking something more, something I couldn't provide. She spoke of Mark, of how he offered her the life she wanted, the life she felt I couldn't give. I listened, my heart breaking with every word. The dance of deceit was over, and now I had to face the music, to find a way to rebuild from the ruins of what we once had. The days that followed were a blur of legal consultations, discussions about custody, and the painful process of dividing our lives. I moved into an apartment nearby, close enough to see Lily, but far enough to give Sarah and me space. The separation was like a physical wound, raw and tender, but necessary. Lily was confused, hurt by the sudden changes. I tried to explain it in a way she could understand. "Mommy and Daddy need some time apart to figure things out," I said, my voice cracking. She nodded, her eyes big and sad, but she was resilient, stronger than I felt at that moment. I focused on work, on being there for Lily as much as possible. The hardware store job became a lifeline, not just financially, but emotionally. My colleagues became a makeshift family, offering support and a distraction from my personal turmoil. Sarah and I met weekly to discuss Lily, to navigate this new, awkward dance of co-parenting. The initial meetings were tense, filled with unspoken accusations and guilt. But over time, we found a rhythm. We agreed on joint custody, ensuring Lily had both of us in her life, even if not under the same roof. One evening, as I was putting Lily to bed, she asked, "Daddy, are you and Mommy ever going to be together again?" Her question cut deep, a reminder of the innocence we had shattered. I sat beside her, taking her small hand in mine. "Lily, sometimes people grow in different ways, and they need space to find happiness. But that doesn't mean we love you any less. We both want you to be happy and to have the best life possible." She nodded, her little mind trying to grasp the complexities of adult relationships. "I just want us to be a family again," she whispered. I kissed her forehead, feeling the weight of her wish. "We will always be your family, Lily, just in a different way." The legal proceedings were draining, but they brought clarity. Sarah and I agreed on terms, on how we would support Lily's future. I learned that Mark, the man Sarah had been seeing, was out of the picture. Their relationship, built on the foundation of our broken marriage, couldn't withstand the scrutiny of reality. Months passed, and with time, the raw edges of my pain began to heal. I started to find joy in the small moments with Lily, in the laughter we shared, in the simple act of being present. I rekindled old friendships, reconnected with my passion for design, and slowly I began to rebuild my life. One day, Sarah and I met for coffee, not as adversaries, but as two people trying to move forward. "I'm sorry, Jake," she said, her eyes sincere. "I was wrong, and I've hurt you deeply. I hope one day you can forgive me." I looked at her, the woman I once loved, now a stranger in some ways. "I'm working on it, Sarah. For Lily's sake, I'm trying." We talked about Lily's future, about how we could both be there for her, even if not together. It was a conversation of compromise, of understanding that our love for our daughter was the thread that would keep us connected, even as individuals. As I walked away from the cafe, I felt a sense of closure, not just from the end of our marriage, but from the dance of deceit that had consumed us. Life was moving forward, and with it, I was learning to dance to a new rhythm, one of healing, forgiveness, and the unwavering love for my daughter. The journey was far from over, but the steps I took now were my own, guided by the lessons learned from the past. The seasons changed, and with them, my life began to take on new colors. I moved into a small house not far from where Lily lived with Sarah. It had a garden, a space where I could plant new roots, both literally and metaphorically. Lily loved coming over, helping me with the garden, her laughter filling the air like the fragrance of blooming flowers. I focused on my design work, finding solace in the creativity that had once been a part-time passion. Clients started to notice the renewed vigor in my designs, and my business grew. I hired an assistant, a young designer named Alex, who brought fresh perspectives and energy to our projects. Lily's gymnastics continued, but now it was a choice she made, not a distraction for me. I attended her competitions, cheering louder than anyone, my heart swelling with pride. She was thriving, not just in gymnastics, but in life, adapting to our new family dynamic with a resilience that amazed me. Sarah and I settled into a routine of co-parenting. Our interactions were civil, sometimes even friendly. We shared stories about Lily, discussed her school, her friends, and her dreams. The bitterness had faded, replaced by a mutual respect for the roles we played in Lily's life. One evening, as I was walking through the park with Lily, I met someone new. Her name was Emily, and she was walking her dog, a lively golden retriever named Max. Lily immediately took to Max, and we struck up a conversation. Emily was a teacher, passionate about education, and her warmth was infectious. As weeks turned into months, Emily and I grew closer. We shared dinners, walks, and stories of our pasts. She knew about my history with Sarah, and I learned of her own journey, of love lost and found. Our relationship was built on understanding, on the shared experience of navigating life's complexities. Lily loved Emily, and the feeling was mutual. Emily never tried to replace Sarah, but became another supportive figure in Lily's life. We took family trips, created new traditions, and slowly our house became a home again, filled with laughter and love. Meanwhile, Sarah found her own path. She started dating again, cautiously at first, but with time, she found someone who appreciated her for who she was, not for the life she could offer. We met for coffee occasionally, not just for Lily's sake, but because we had become friends in our own right. One autumn day, as the leaves painted the world in hues of gold and red, I proposed to Emily. It wasn't a grand gesture, but a quiet, heartfelt moment in our garden, with Lily by our side. Emily said yes, her eyes shining with tears of joy. The wedding was small, intimate, with Lily as the flower girl, scattering petals down the aisle. Sarah was there too, her presence a testament to the journey we had all taken. It was a celebration of new beginnings, of the possibility of happiness after heartache. As I stood there, watching Lily dance with Emily, I realized that life wasn't about avoiding the dance of deceit or the pain of betrayal. It was about learning to dance again, to find joy in the steps, even when they were uncertain. The past had shaped us, but it was the future, with its promise of love and family, that truly mattered. And so, with Emily's hand in mine and Lily's laughter in the air, I stepped into the next chapter of my life, ready to embrace whatever dance came next, knowing that every step, no matter how difficult, was a part of the beautiful, intricate tapestry of our lives. Years passed, and our family grew. Emily and I had two more children, a boy named Ethan and a girl named Mia. Our house was always bustling with activity, laughter echoing through the halls. Lily, now a teenager, was a big sister, a role she embraced with enthusiasm. Despite the happiness, echoes of the past occasionally whispered through our lives. Lily, now old enough to understand more about our family's history, asked questions. She wanted to know why her parents didn't live together, why our family was different from others. One evening, as we sat around the fireplace, I decided it was time to share the truth, or at least the version of it that she could handle. Lily, sometimes people change, and the love they once shared can grow in different directions, I began, choosing my words carefully. Mommy and Daddy tried, but we realized we could be better parents apart than together. She listened, her eyes thoughtful. Did you ever wish you stayed together? She asked, her voice small. I took a deep breath, looking at Emily, who nodded in support. At first, yes, but life has a way of showing us what we need, not just what we want. Your mom and I, we both found happiness, and most importantly, we found a way to be there for you, even if not in the same house. Lily nodded, processing the information. And Emily? Emily smiled, reaching for Lily's hand. I'm so glad your dad and I found you, Arthur, and I'm even happier that you're part of our family. The conversation opened doors to more questions, more discussions, but it also solidified the bonds within our family. Lily understood that love wasn't about perfection, but about presence, about the choices we make to ensure the happiness of those we love. As Lily grew, so did her relationship with Sarah. They had their own special bond, one that was different but no less important. Sarah found love again, remarried, and had another child, a little brother for Lily. Our families blended, creating a tapestry of relationships that was unique but rich with love. One summer, we decided to take a family vacation together, all of us. It was a test, a challenge to see if we could truly coexist in harmony. We rented a large cabin by the lake where the kids could run free, where the adults could relax and reflect. The first few days were awkward, filled with polite conversations and forced smiles. But as the days passed, something magical happened. The children's laughter, the shared meals, the stories by the campfire, they all wove a new narrative, one of healing and acceptance. One evening, as the sun set over the lake, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Sarah and I found ourselves alone by the water. Jake, she began, her voice soft, I never thought we'd be here like this. Maha, I looked at her, the woman who had once been my everything. Life has a way of surprising us, I replied, and sometimes those surprises are the best gifts. We talked about our children, about the paths we had taken since our separation. There was no bitterness, only a shared understanding of the journey we had both endured. As the vacation ended, we stood together, watching our children play. Sarah's hand found mine, a gesture of friendship, of gratitude for the life we had created, even if it wasn't the one we had planned. The echoes of the past were still there, but they were no longer whispers of pain. They were reminders of our strength, of our capacity to love, to forgive, and to move forward. Our family was unconventional, but it was ours, and in its complexity, we found a profound beauty. As I watched Lily, Ethan, Mia, and Sarah's son all laughing together, I realized that the dance of deceit had ended, but the dance of life, with all its twists and turns, was just beginning. And with every step, we were learning, growing, and embracing the future together.